Welcome to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. This is the European Football Show. I'm your host, Patrick Mullen, joined again with Blair Malloy as we look into what has been another exciting week of Champions League football. We've made it to the semi-final stage and we have dressed accordingly here today. Blair, if you haven't seen the show, we always start off with a bit of retro football shirts to spice it up every week. Blair, kick us off with what you're wearing.
Yep, I thought I've done really well this week to get all of the shirts of the four semi-final teams, really getting to the business end of the tournament now. I'm here in a Borrusia Dortmund shirt from the 2008 season, I believe. A nice diagonal striped number here with the sponsor going down. It's something a little bit different. I hear they're going for quite a lot of money online these days, so I may be taking this off and selling it straight after the show. You've also went for a German number.
I went for a Bayern Munich number just to rival you, maybe a little reminisce. This wasn't from the 2013 season, but that season, Wembley, Bayern Munich versus Borrusia Dortmund. Could we be seeing it once again this year?
Could history be repeating itself? Of course, at Wembley. Bayern Munich, we'll talk about a couple of parallels in the show later on. Bayern Munich going to get rid of the manager. They got rid of Jupp Heynckes that year as well. Thomas Tuchel on the way out. Who knows? Who knows where we might end up come the end of the season?
Well, it's all to play for in those second legs. Let's take a look at the scores from the first leg. It was Bayern Munich 2, Real Madrid 2 on Tuesday night. And on Wednesday night, it was Borussia Dortmund 1, PSG 0.
Yep, that first game on Tuesday night, Bayern Munich 2, Real Madrid 2, it was a cracker to get us underway in the semi-finals. I don't know who I was expecting to win this game. I mean, Real Madrid, they're so seasoned at this level of the competition. It gets to the quarterfinals, it gets to the semi-finals. You just expect them always to get a result. And I think when they took that early goal, I was thinking to myself, this is it. Real Madrid, they know what they're doing here. They're going to go on and they're going to take a win here in Germany. But obviously, it didn't quite pan out that way.
I think you look at that result for Bayern Munich, ahead with just 10 minutes to go. You're going to the Bernabeu next week. I think they would have been kind of kicking themselves. They knew they kind of needed a little bit of an advantage to take with them because, as you said, Real Madrid is so strong in this competition.
Yeah, I think they showed their class really with that opening goal, especially Toni Kroos. What a pass!
He just points to him.
A minute for the pass because it's an absolutely incredible. Toni Kroos, I think he's 34, 35 years old now, and like you said, to point the other way and then to put that inch perfect ball, its class is permanent. The same way you've seen Luka Modric a couple of weeks ago coming on, just settling the game down. These old heads for Real Madrid who are still running the game at the highest level.
It's just that ability, that awareness to not only focus on what you're doing with probably 3 or 4 players running at him, but just to kind of have a quick look up and just seek him kind of slightly out of position, and he just pings the ball perfectly, and there you go, 1-0.
Yeah, and on. Vinicius Junior, I think he really is one of my favourite players in Europe right now. He's so alert, he's so alive to everything. The way he plays the game, it's a joy to watch.
He is. He's someone who I think there's not many in the Champions League. The Champions League is the top of the top, the creme de la creme. But there's just that level above your Harry Kanes, your Vinicius Juniors, your Mbappes. These players that you could have nothing all game. You could be in the 89th minute, they've touched the ball 3 times, and suddenly they've scored 2, and you're out of the Champions League. Yeah,
of course, 2 penalties in that game. A great finish from Vinicius Junior for the first one. I also thought a brilliant finish from Leroy Sané for the second. I know on the commentary he was maybe getting a little bit, the goalkeeper was getting a little bit of criticism. I don't think that's fair. You look at that goal back, he's hit it like an absolute rocket into the bottom corner. I don't think the goalkeeper's expecting it. I think he's looking at him to maybe is he going to curl it into the far corner, is he maybe going to put in a cross? It's a brilliant finish from Sané.
We were watching it back just before the game and you're looking at it and I don't think the goalkeeper's even moved before it's in the back, like as it's going past him. And I know it's at his near post and the goalkeeper should have his near post covered, that old cliche saying, but that is some hit by Leroy Sané.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Like you said, so fast the keeper, he could not get near it and it's past him before he could even realise it. And also a game of 2 penalties. I mean, Bayern Munich obviously getting the equaliser from a Harry Kane penalty. And I think it was very interesting, bit of mind games going on with Jude Bellingham. Here's what Harry Kane had to say just after the game on that. He said, "I don't know what he was saying. I saw him mumbling something. Once I'm in that moment, I'm in my zone, trying to block everyone out. I'm sure he was saying something to try and put me off. I'm here for many years. It's not a one-off year. At the start of the season, the expectation was to win trophies. The Champions League is the biggest one." And I mean, there is a little bit that thinks, okay, they've lost the Bundesliga. Now the Champions League. That's our main goal. Harry Kane's coming out and said, this is what we want. This is the big one.
You know, if you're going to win your first major trophy as a professional football player, why not just kick it off as the Champions League? Him and Eric Dyer, you know, I think people forget about Eric Dyer, kind of came over with him. How incredible would it be if Bayern Munich could go to the Bernabeu, take the victory and book their place into the final?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got Harry Kane in your team, anything is possible. I mean, you look at his stats this year, he's been directly involved in 11 goals in the Champions League this season, 8 goals and 3 assists. That's most ever by an English player in any campaign. And he's also the joint top goal scorer in Europe's Big Five leagues this year, alongside Kylian Mbappe with 43 goals, where the striker, he now has the most combined goals and assists of anybody, 54 in total with 43 goals and 11 assists. And having him as that real focal point, we've said it on this show before, even though they didn't win the Bundesliga, he has been outperforming that team. And I think with him, they can put their trust in him taking them forward.
They've got such quality in the attack, your Harry Kanes, your Musialas. Are they maybe getting let down, do you think, by the defence? You know, Kim, he had a tough game. He doesn't seem to, from what I've seen him in this season, to quite be the same player as we saw when he was in his Napoli days. That penalty, it was a sloppy error at the end and it gifted Vinicius Jr. that goal. And you could say he was maybe not quite switched on with the early one. Do you think if Bayern Munich and Thomas Tuchel could just firm out that defence, find that winning partnership, they could go all the way?
I don't think it's so much as specifically pinning it on the defence. I think Bayern as a whole are on the cusp of something of a rebuild. I mean, you look at, obviously Thomas Tuchel is going to go at the end of the season. It came out this morning that Ralf Rangnick has turned them down. Ralf Rangnick saying, I'm the Austrian team boss with all my heart. I would like to expressly emphasise this is not a rejection of FC Bayern, but rather a decision for my team and our common goals. And I mean, Ralf Rangnick wasn't even their first choice. They looked at Xabi Alonso, who's obviously decided to stay at Leverkusen. They looked at Julian Nagelsmann, and all three of these candidates have now said no, they don't want to be Bayern Munich boss, which is really unusual. Bayern Munich, one of the biggest teams in Europe, you would think one of the most sought after jobs, but I think they as a whole need to rebuild, and I think Harry Kane, rather than maybe rebuilding through a manager, Harry Kane could be the front man, the focal point, the statesman that could take them forward.
But he's not going to want to be there for that. I think, like, Harry Kane is gone to Bayern Munich to win trophies. He's not looking for a 3-4 year evolution progress. Do you not think he could then be looking an eye other way? I know he said he's here for many seasons to come, but if they can't get a top quality manager in who's going to be given the backing, then why would he stay?
I think it would be naive to say that Bayern Munich are not going to win trophies again in the near future.
Oh, of course.
We look at them now, they're in the semi-finals of the competition. They're many people's favourite to go and win this competition, even though they did have a poor season by their standards in the Bundesliga.
I say that, they're my favourites to go.
Yeah, you're still saying that your favourites to win this competition. So yeah, I think Harry Kane, he strikes me as the type of character who, he's committed to Bayern now. He's obviously loved at the Allianz. He's having a great season. I think if he replicates that next year, there's no reason why they can't go on to success and go and take that Bundesliga back. I think more of the question is, they have him up front, they have the focal point. Who do they bring in now at the end of this season to move them on as manager? There's been rumours of Roberto De Zerbi from Brighton, Hansi Flick. Do they maybe go for a Ruben Amorim, who obviously turned down Liverpool? They went for Arne Slot. They also, could it be somebody like Pochettino? Could they go a little bit left field and just scour the market and see where they can go next?
It sounds like a bit of a silly thing to say, but they could go absolutely anywhere with their next managerial decision. But current manager Thomas Tuchel, he's got his team. I'm buzzing for that one in the second leg next week. And if they're going to make it to the final, they have got to beat, if they're going to win the whole competition, they've got to beat either Borussia Dortmund or PSG. That one finishing 1-0, a clinical finish in the first half.
Yeah, Nicholas Füllkrug, again, we've talked about him before. I love an old-fashioned centre forward, and I think the ball clipped over the top from Nico Schlotterbeck, and Füllkrug, the way he took it down and the speed and power of that finish, it was a joy to behold, an absolutely ruthless finish. I'm quite surprised the Dortmund coach Edin Terzic, he said the result was just okay, and I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have fancied Dortmund coming into this. I think the way PSG have played all the way through the tournament this year, they have been slowly growing into maybe one of the favourites of the tournament, not just relying on their star men of Mbappe anymore. But he said it was okay, and I think it is. It's a really good result for Dortmund. I do think PSG showed what they can do. They had so many chances. They obviously hit the post. I would expect PSG to be a different side the next week.
There was that kind of, what was it, like a 4 or 5 minute spell of Mbappe hits the post, it just bounces out. Hakimi hits the post. It's just like an incredible moment, and you think you can just see it, just little sparks, even when they have an off night where they lose away from home. And let's not take anything away. To go to the Borussia Dortmund stadium with that yellow wall, Champions League evening, to only be 1 goal behind, I don't think the PSG boss will be saying it's just an okay result. I think he'd be buzzing with that result. Of course, you want to win in the Champions League, but they've had such a tricky time. No one really expected PSG to come on after losing the likes of Neymar and Messi. But I genuinely believe they are the favourites to go through in this tie.
I just wonder though. I tend to agree with you. I do think that it will be a different PSG in the second leg. I wonder what this result does for the confidence of that PSG team. Notoriously branded as a team that can't go over the line, can't quite make it to that final step in European competition. I think they would have loved an easy, and even a draw or a narrow win here to go into that second leg and go, okay, we have something to build on. Now all of a sudden they've got 90 minutes and they need to change the course of this tie. They need to score early. They need to score at least twice. And I'm not saying that they won't do that. I actually think that they will come round it and they'll come out of it. But if they don't score in the first half, all of a sudden the pressure starts to build. And Dortmund, as that pressure builds on PSG, it's a negative swing effect. Dortmund then start to believe, going, we could do this. And if Dortmund score first in that game, it could be a completely different tie altogether.
It's not many crowds in world football that will get on the back of these PSG players like the fans there. It's quite. I experienced it once in my life in a Champions League quarter-final game. And I've never seen anything like it. I think they went a goal down within the first 10 minutes of the game. And then they ended up winning it 3-1, yet they were on their backs the rest of the game. They demand perfection. These fans are desperate more than anything to see a Champions League medal.
Yeah, I think you can really... The really clear comparison between the two fans and distinction. PSG fans, like you say, may be really, really on the back of the players going, we're just so desperate to win that you can feel the tension coming out in the stadium. You looked at it last night, by comparison. Those Dortmund fans, they were having the best time of their lives. That atmosphere was absolutely incredible. The yellow wall, obviously, you've seen all the videos on social media that you'll never walk alone before the game. What that must do to the belief of those Dortmund players to have that team behind, the fans behind them, that's... You can't factor that in. You know, it's invaluable when you come and get a result like this.
There's one player in particular that I think we've both mentioned that seems to be thriving well, especially last night on loan from Manchester United, Jadon Sancho. An incredible performance by him. Yeah,
he had that PSG defence on toast. It was absolutely incredible from Jadon Sancho, and I think there was an excellent piece. I can't remember what newspaper it's from, where they said he eclipsed Kylian Mbappe last night, and I think that sums it up. Kylian Mbappe, if you just landed from Mars and somebody had to tell you who's the £200 million player that's going to go to Real Madrid this summer, you'd be looking at Jadon Sancho and going, it's this boy here, because he absolutely tore them apart. An incredible performance, especially in that first half. I mean, I know stats can tell you a different story and paint a different picture sometimes, but 12 completed dribbles, and that's the most in a Champions League game this season. This is a player who was completely frozen out of the picture at Man United, and to put in a performance like that, I don't think anyone's seen he still had that in his locker.
I was watching this game last night and I'm watching Jadon Sancho and I'm just thinking, where has this guy been? This is a player that had nothing for a whole season at Manchester United. He was frozen out, like you said. And it kind of got me thinking, I'm like, this is a recurring theme at Manchester United. Some of the best managers and players have come to Old Trafford, tried to play their craft and have failed. Your likes of Alexis Sanchez, Romelu Lukaku, Angel Di Maria, players that left. Romelu Lukaku, they left and they won leagues, they won World Cups. It cannot just be a sense of at Manchester United, players can't deal with the pressure because these players are going and playing in the biggest stage of them all. Jadon Sancho performing like that in a Champions League semi-final. It has to be something deep down in the club that is causing these issues. And I think Jim Radcliffe, fair play to him, he's actually realised that in 2 months since coming into the club and buying a 27.7% stake in the club, he's taken over football operations, and what an impact he's made. He's replaced the CEO, he's replaced the chief financial officer, and now he's trying, Dan Ashworth, he's on gardening leave, he's trying to make a technical director. If that doesn't change things, I don't know what can.
I think you spoke obviously very passionately about Manchester United. Signed for £73 million for Man United in 2021. I think Jadon Sancho, it's borne out in the stats. If you look at his career and numbers so far, between 2017 and 2021 with Borussia Dortmund, he played 108 times and scored 50 goals. That's almost 1 in 2 for a winger. Those are incredible numbers. He went to Man United and pretty much over the same time period played just over half the games and managed 12 goals. He's obviously gone back on loan from January 2024, where he's played 15 times and scored 3 goals. Didn't score last night, of course, but put in that incredible display. And like you said, it makes you wonder, is it a club issue that these players can't thrive in that environment, even though they do have the talent? Which then leads me on to, if he has the option, does he go back? I was watching Alessandro Del Piero talking about it last night, where he says players have to strive for that. Okay, they can do it with Dortmund, and no disrespect to Dortmund at all, they're operating at a higher level than Manchester United at the minute, but can he go back and produce it to potentially a higher level with Man United, or does he stay at Dortmund? Does he try and move to somewhere where he feels more comfortable, where he feels more happy, where he's playing his best football?
I think success at Manchester United, or a club like Manchester United, where they have that stature on the world stage, is seen as, in terms of history, a more of an achievement. If he went on to win the Champions League at Borussia Dortmund, fair play. But if he won the Premier League or the Champions League at Manchester United, he goes down as a legend, as a hero of Manchester United. So I think personally, he should be trying to go back. But with Manchester United, all their financial fair play issues that they seem to now be having, you've seen reports that the whole squad is up for sale, I'm not sure if he'll get the chance to go back. I think they might cash in.
And I think they'll be losing a great player. I think Jadon Sancho, they still have so much potential in there. I think we've seen last night what he can still do on the highest level. Let's go through it out there. If he wins the Champions League this year with Borussia Dortmund, is Gareth Southgate having a think about him in the summer?
No, I don't think he is. I think he's got too many quality options. And you look at the stats there. You've got 15 games, just 3 goals. Let's just take a minute. He's obviously a player that hasn't played a lot of football over the past year. Let him just play his football. I think that's the best thing. I think you saw that thing with Dele Alli. He says he has an alarm clock every day at 11 a.m. to remind him of the World Cup. I think for Jadon Sancho, it should be the same. That should be his target. I don't think anything he can do on a personal level until the end of the season would be enough for him to get into Gareth Southgate's squad.
And as good as Jadon Sancho was last night, I do still think that PSG will run out winners over the course of the 2 legs. But an interesting little subplot from the game last night, Borussia Dortmund's win means that Germany will now have 5 Champions League places next season, along with Italy. That is the top 2 coefficient rated leagues. They get an extra Champions League place, and they beat England to it. So England will obviously only have 4 places.
I think this season is showing that there's a bit of this kind of overconfidence in the Premier League. Real Madrid, they knocked out Manchester City. Man City are out. Arsenal are out. You look down in the Conference League, only Aston Villa are still in, and who knows where that could go. So I think I wouldn't say that they're the 3rd biggest league in the world, but it's performance based. If you're not going to do it on the biggest stage, you don't deserve to have the most places in that stage.
Yep, we could potentially have a German winner of the Champions League and a German winner of the Europa League, with Bayer Leverkusen absolutely flying as well. And we'll see where we end up at the end of the season.
I'm going to push you before the end. Who's going through to the final and who's winning the final?
Okay, I'm not going to give you who's winning the final yet, because we'll wait and save that for the final show. Who's going through to the final? I think it will be PSG and Bayern Munich.
Okay, wow. Well, to be fair, when we were after the quarterfinals, you did get all of them wrong.
Yes,
so...
thanks for reminding everybody of that. That's great that you brought that back up again. Are you going to give me a prediction?
I'll go for a Real Madrid and PSG making it to the final.
Okay, that's an absolute certainty that Dortmund are going to make it now. They're both back against them.
Well, we can talk all about that next week in the next European Football Show. Thank you again for joining us here on PLZ Soccer's European Football Show. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.